Hi everyone. Sorry I can't be there tonight. I actually have something that with my wife and I that we've had planned for a couple months. Actually going to a Laker game with some amazing seats, so couldn't pass that one up. But wanted to give you guys an update about what's going on here the last few weeks. We'll start here quickly with Teacher of the Year. So we just named Tracy Dawson Teacher of the Year. We named her Teacher of the Year on Friday last week. There were interviews and everything like that with everyone else in the district. And tomorrow morning, she is actually going to be named District Teacher of the Year, which we just found out. So that's actually really cool. Um, our kids are actually moving through course selection right now for 22-23, which is really hard to believe. But in order to kind of prep for next year, we have to start getting all this stuff in the system. And with about 2,600 kids, we have to start now. So kids are they're modifying course requests based on what they had in their academic plan. The academic plan over here was input for most of them their freshman year. And so basically this populates their course requests and then they go in and just modify based on things that change over the years. So we're in that process. We'll be in this process for a couple months because we move through our juniors, obviously our juniors, sophomores, and current freshmen. Then we go down to the eighth graders here shortly too. That happens mid-March. We also have a lot of CIF sports. As you guys are listening to this, we've already played girls soccer. I don't know what the update is. Girls basketball will be happening, and girls water polo will be just finishing up. Girls water polo is actually in the semifinals, and again, I apologize, this might be in the way here, but they play today. All our CIF plays today, with the exception of the two that lost early on. Boys soccer and boys basketball both lost in the first round. Good games, but they did lose. Now, on our spring sports, we've got a lot of spring sports that happen here. There's a list of them. Those guys are just getting started. A few of them maybe had some preseason games, but they'll start here very quickly. This is one, winter formal. We had 700 plus kids, so I think it ended up being about 720 students who showed up to winter formal. That's about 200 more than what we typically would have. So the trend is continuing. All of our dances and events, we're seeing a lot of good turnout. We haven't yet for sports, and I think part of that has to do with like the masking and the rules for crowds. But that's one, it'll be interesting to see if there's any update in the mask guidance and what has to happen, and see how that impacts attendance at games. Speaking of masking and that sort of thing, so this is just something I wanted to share with you guys, and again, I'm going to try to move this out of the way here. So this is the recent trend that we've been seeing here for COVID numbers, and it's kind of funny if you talk to kids, you ask them, hey, what percentage of students were absent or whatever, and you're 10, 15%, sometimes 20%. But the reality of it is, over the last few weeks, and this data is from the last 2 weeks of January. This was actually one of the holidays that we had. But anyway, you can see we were about between, normally, I'm sorry, a normal attendance rate for us is about 97%. And so if you look at our attendance numbers, you can see, at the lowest on this particular, in this cut, basically we're at 92. So it was about a 5% hit on attendance. But then if you look at the other days, you're looking at 96, 95. So really for us, it was about 2 to 3% above normal for a couple weeks. I'm sorry, below normal really. But not nearly as bad as I think a lot of people thought, or at least how it felt. You can see the COVID numbers are continually dropping. As I record this on the 15th, this is supposed to be the last day of the mask guidance, and starting on the 16th, the state is supposed to go back to what we did before the trend was happening. And basically, mask indoors outside of school settings is going to be optional. In school, we'll still have masks, but there's an update that the state and the county are going to put out on the 28th that may potentially impact K-12. We don't know what that is, but it sounds like they're looking at some kind of phased approach to that, because there's a lot of momentum and desire for kids to come to school without masks, or at least have the option to try to get some sense of normalcy back. And again, that's out of our hands, but something that's out there. We also have, this is just something I want to let you guys know, we have 2 student groups that I work with that are currently meeting from time to time. Sorry, I'm moving this out of the way. Well, I guess it's best up here. This is one of the groups that we meet with. we don't have a name for the group, but we just kind of call it our equity and race groups, where we're looking at equity, and you can see there's Jamie Quach right in the front. But anyway, it's a group of kids that we meet with periodically just to talk about like, how things are going on campus, how we can be better. This group specifically had a lens on English and what we called paired texts, and you know, offering literature that where kids can see themselves in, and not just the old canon, which I think the quote is that's written by a bunch of dead white guys. And so these guys have helped us work through that. They've actually met with our English department, and they meet with me periodically. I didn't know that they actually took selfies after every meeting, and then a couple times they kind of snuck me in a couple here. Sorry, but they take a few other. These are just a few that they apparently take after every meeting. And along those lines, we also have a group of students who recently presented to our teachers, just talking about respecting gender identity in the classroom. There's a lot going on with that. And it's one where just as teachers, there's a lot of questions and worries. And, the goal is ultimately just to make our students feel comfortable, or at least just help them feel comfortable and welcome. And so we actually had a student group who presented to our teachers. This slide was just one of the slides of many, but kind of gave them a chance to ask questions and just talk through some best practices and that sort of thing. So again, just kind of a heads up that that's out there, and we're working on it. Still working with these groups. At some point, these two groups will merge. Just again, talking about equity and how do we make all of our students feel welcome here. Right now, their energy is kind of going in different directions, and so I didn't merge them yet, only because as kids, they kind of want to go different directions right now, and I kind of want to let them go a little bit different. But both groups know at some point we'll kind of merge the two and go from there. So other than that, there's not much else to report. Right there, that's about 7 minutes, which I think is my allocated time anyway. So that's it. Thank you guys. Sorry I can't be there with you. Hey, have a good night.